Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the time has arrived for the fourth race here in the realistic Formula 1 Championship. ARC Championship. Forgot a word. It heads to the circuit that should not be, as I've taken to calling it, the Chinese Grand Prix in Shanghai. The reason I call it that is because there is no Chinese Grand Prix in real life, there hasn't been for 3 years, and there won't be in the future, so I don't know why they keep putting it in this game. But it can make for some interesting racing when people try to overtake in the first corner or the hairpin. But first, we have to get through qualifying, as we're a couple minutes in. Nobody has completed a lap. Jurgensmeyer will be the first to do so, as he's making his way into the third sector of the circuit. And I'm going to adjust myself in my chair. This track is an interesting one for setups, as low downforce and high downforce both have their merits here. Wow! You just don't need that engine, right? Jurgensmeyer will complete the first lap of the session. It will be a 34.07. We'll be the next to head across. Looks like that might be, nope. That's not Aston Martin. I'm blind. Nope, you're on an outlap. You're on an outlap. Okay, so I believe it would be Setchel, who is reserving in the Williams today, who might be no, it's AJ. Nope. That's not lap. Okay, so yeah, it is Setchel in the Williams. That would be next, as they get quite a bit of oversteer through the corner that made me hate this track for so long. As I call it, the snail curve. I don't think I'm the only person who does so. They will continue the lap regardless of that near spin. I guess just to see what happens, you never know. And also because you might as well. Although that's going to end the lap right there, taking a little bit too much curb. 36.2 wouldn't up the charts anyway. Luke Allen ran a 37.4. Man, I hope that's not representative, because that's not pretty. Mikey De Jong with a 34.76 in the McLaren. And Boryoshi is making his way through the middle sector. The game claims he ran a purple first sector. That remains to be seen, I would say, as looks like Jake Scarborough and Fidel Fabian have joined late. Boryoshi may have some traffic. It's his teammate who is off of the circuit, and he had a bit of a snap of his own heading into the Snell corner. Into the back stretch. I feel like we're going to probably see more, the balance of setup decision-making, as it were. Or I could word that better. We'll be seeing a lot of setups that are more, like, high speed, low downforce oriented. Especially from the, slower cars, as Boryoshi puts that Alpine P2 at a 34.32. Maybe that's just my own mindset, but I feel like I would endeavor to try and minimize the engine weakness in a car, like say the AlphaTauri, or I think most specifically the one with the weakest engine is the Alpine. I don't even remember which one's the worst in a straight line, but for whatever teams that do, they're probably aware of what their car's strengths and weaknesses are, and they're able to make their setups around it. But the cars and drivers that are dealing with vehicles that don't have much top speed will probably run lower downforce to compensate. Whereas the ones in the top equipment, like the Mercedes and the Red Bull and the Ferraris, is that, well, you Words are hard. You know, you have more liberties. You have a little bit more freedom when it comes to your setup because the car can take a little more of an extreme. I just realized Luke Allen is on the medium tires. That's also probably contributing at least a little bit to that lap time of his. As out of the last turn, he's actually going to improve it to a 36.2 on those mediums. Which is, well, it's certainly looking a heck of a lot better than a 37. I literally looked at it and didn't even mention that Dylan Thomas ran a 35 flat in an AlphaTauri. De Jong is back out of the pits. His teammate just crossed the line with a 34.06, taking pole from Jurgensmeyer by 0.07 of a second. Jurgensmeyer is also back on the circuit to correct this indiscretion. Jamie Knock will head out of the last turn, and he will run a 34.61 in the Haas. Speaking of Haas, much to my surprise, last week's winner, Robert Kuchelniak, is not actually in this event. He goes from the previous race's winner to not even here and leaving his teammate to hold down the fort, which he seems to be doing relatively well if he's out qualifying a McLaren right now. But Fabian's on his way around the circuit, as the game claims he has run a purple Sector 1. Again, remains to be seen if that's true and if it matters, or will matter later, I should say. Jurgensmeyer would cross first, but he's not got his battery activated, so he must have thrown this lap away. So we'll put the camera back onto Fidel Fabian as he makes his way down the back straightaway. And he looks like he is running sort of a medium downforce setup. Some of this moved. Oh, Jake Scarborough ran a 34.94 on medium tires. Fidel Fabian heads out of the last turn. This one looks like it'll be mighty fast. A 33 flat from the Red Bull top car, putting in a top lap to say the least. And yeah, that's a reserve right there, by the way. Fidel Fabian doesn't drive for HRT Red Bull. Jurgensmeyer failed to deliver on his lap. Boryoshi's on an out lap. Micah De Jong is on the circuit, and he's considerably up on his previous run, so we'll see if he somehow has an answer for that front row, which includes his teammate, so I would have to assume that he probably does. Heads out of the last turn, and he's gonna pretty much split the gap between Fidel Fabian and his teammate. Scarborough's letting off. Boryoshi is not. He is on his flying lap. Bit of a bit of a slip up in the first hairpin. The game says purple middle sector, but we all know that especially in Sector 2, the game likes to lie about that. I don't want to say that he's incapable, I'm just saying I believe it when I see him top the charts or get close. With the HRT dominance out of the way, with both Fonseca and Piche backing out of the series midway through, the door has definitely been left a lot more open to, well, actual racing and not me commentating over a parade. And while Yoshi did not top the charts, he did the most he could compared to a Red Bull, 33.67. He gets onto the front row by 3 thousandths of a second. The top echelon is apparently very close quarters right now. Let's see if Abdurrahman Al-Hazmi has anything to say about it himself. At one point he was on the front row, so he should be, hopefully, for his sake, be able to find a little more time. I'm surprised to not really see much coming from the Ferraris yet. Fidel Fabian is out of the session. I think he's... What did he do? He's not on the racetrack. He just retired from the session apparently. We are about to see a lap completed by Matthew Daly, and right as I spoke, AJ Knickel ran a 34.17, but ultimately speaking, the Ferrari should be running from like a 33.17. And Matthew Daly, he establishes that he is the contestant. He runs a 33.38. Still does not topple the Red Bull, though. And a car that is certainly capable with the right lap, and I guess you just didn't get the right lap, obviously. But Al-Hazmi, Jurgensmeyer, and Scarborough are all on the track and in cars that can certainly give Fidel Fabian a challenge. Or die trying. As I think Jurgensmeyer's rear tires just felt the latter option there a little bit. Out of the last turn, Jurgensmeyer will just miss the front row, a 33.40. And that might be his last run at it. Hazmi is invalidated, so he won't have a chance at it. AJ Knickel is pitting. Okay. Drake Scarborough's on the world's slowest outlap, but he will be the next contestant as far as I'm concerned. Because none of the cars heading towards the backstretch or on it right now are really, like, top vehicles. And one of them is Matthew Daly, who's boxing anyway, so he's not going to be able to do anything. Although Mikey De Jong is on the track on an outlap, nearing the last part of the... just read something in the Discord. We're nearing the end of the session. There we go. That is how we speak, Riker. Nearing the end of the session, Mikey De Jong is going to have one last chance to try and play... spoiler, pun partially intended, and he's gonna have to find 6.5 tenths to do so. Jurgensmeyer, yeah, he can't run, he doesn't have any fuel left. Hazmi also boxing Scarborough, right. That is the person that is running a lap time, and up by a tenth. He's gonna have to dig a little deeper than that to make it into the low 33s. Considering he's in the 34.5s right now, he's not really there. The Merc can compete. It's not as good as the other two, as the Red Bull or the Ferrari, but a good lap can put you there, and we already saw that once with Jurgensmeyer at Monaco, was he nearly won the Grand Prix, and barring Stewart's decisions post-race, deeming the two contacts between, at the Nivelle chicane, gave Robert Krichelniak the win on the count of removed time penalties. Ugh. Not the greatest apex for Scarborough as he crosses a 33.98. He makes up some places, but he's nowhere near even his teammate, much less pole position. Boriyoshi's on an outlap, but I don't think he's making it back in time from there. Mickey De Jong is on a lap, as is AJ Knickel. He's about to finish his, so we will put the camera on him and see. No, he's not on a lap, but he's about to start one. If the timer hasn't expired, it just did. So, okay, it is just down to De Jong if he can steal pole position from the Red Bull of Fidel Fabian as he flies down towards the hairpin for the most important braking zone of the qualifying session. And then up into the last turn. And it's not enough. Second row for De Jong, 33.59. And, well, we can't even look at his car as Setchel crosses the line at pit road speeds. Yeah, I have no mute button. Alright, duh. I do, but I can't use it and take a drink at the same time. So, Fidel Fabian will be your pole sitter as a reserve for HRT here for the Chinese Realistic Grand Prix. I don't know if Fidel Fabian has a pole in a top division series. I think he has poles in F2 and F3 when those were making the rounds in ARC, but this is certainly going to be his first AF1 pole position, and, you know, realistic cars or not, pole position is still pole position. He had to beat the Ferraris and Mercs for it. And he gets it kind of convincingly. He gets a 33 flat, 3/10 over the next car. So, it's quite a statement from a reserve driver, and much less one of the less prolific drivers in ARC. In difference to Fidel, he's no Piche, he's no ARC champion by any means. So, to see this pole position, quite a shocker. And he's just gotta capitalize. Give my give my vocal cords their last bit of respite before we get the Chinese Grand Prix started. The task only continues as we are on the formation lap. As the full grid rundown, as I was, mostly focused on the contest for pole, I didn't really look at where everybody else starts. So the Red Bull of Fidel Fabian, yeah, the rare bull. Nope, not very rare. See him in Walmart all the time. The Red Bull of Fidel Fabian has taken pole over Matthew Daly in the Ferrari. And then it is the Merc of Jonathan Jurgensmeyer in P3. McLaren of Micah De Jong, P4. Boryoshi takes 5th in the Alpine. The second Mercedes of Scarborough starts P6. Al-Hazmi in the McLaren starts P7. Matthew Stotts, P8. Gas. AJ Knickel starts P9 after what could best be described as a disappointing qualifying session. I almost said Craig. It's Jamie Knock in the Haas, starts P10. Dylan Thomas P11, Luke Allen P12, Julius Duku P13, and the Williams of Setchel starts in last. Alright, the tires. As Matthew Stotts gets DSQ'd from the session. Tires. Yeah, it's, most of the drivers in the top half are electing for the mediums. Only people outside of the top 10, and then the two McLarens have opted for hard tires. So, pretty simple. McLarens in bottom 4. And I think it's always a pivotal thing to remember if you're a person stuck in the lower end equipment of the field, such as an AlphaTauri or Williams. Top 10 is a point, and there's only 14 drivers. We don't have a full grid, and we're not exactly paid professionals getting millions of dollars to drive race cars. So for somebody like Setchel or like Luke Allen, all that means is just avoiding a pair of 2-car wrecks, and suddenly you've scored points and your efforts have been rewarded. And the efforts are only beginning as the 5 red lights are gone and the Chinese Grand Prix is away. And Fidel Fabian has gotten away well. Jurgensmeyer and Daly are too wide. Daly sends it into 1, and he's going to basically just... He's not going to force his way by, but he's going to assert himself and maybe snag the lead from the Red Bull right off of the jump. And it looks like he will succeed in that matter. Scarborough gets a good start. He gets right up behind his teammate, and everyone is scattering behind, and oh my word, Boryoshi has been turned by the McLaren and has just clobbered Fidel Fabian, our pole sitter. Oh, I guess he couldn't capitalize. Aja Kinnickle, though, definitely did capitalize. He's gone from 9th to 3rd on the race start, following whatever we just bared witness to. Mikey DeJong gets a yellow flag penalty, and that's gonna definitely hurt. And there's a huge, another spin way in the distance, and that is Julius Dooku in the Aston Martin has looped it out of the S's. I've been there before, back when I used to race in ARC Formula 1. After Fidel Fabian's unfortunate incident, Matthew Daly is gone. He has nearly a 3-second lead to his name. And his teammate, Aja Kinnickle, is in a prime position to play rear gunner and inconvenience the Mercs. Boryoshi has had a start to forget as he finds himself down in P9, down 5 from whence he began. Fidel Fabian, despite getting taken down, like it's Burnout Paradise, he got taken down to Paradise City. The grass is green and words I can't say on the air, and he's been utterly squeezed by a driver in the slowest car on the racetrack. Fidel really didn't have anywhere to go on that one. So the miseries compound for the Red Bull driver who was once starting first. And just as I spoke about how the fact that he wasn't actually at the bottom of the running order, he's basically there again. Now Hasmi is torturing those tires, trying to get every ounce of pace out of that McLaren that he can muster. Dylan Thomas just takes off into the good night with what I can only assume to be a lower downforce setup, or just a really good run out of that turn. Someday the intervals will start to make sense again, I swear to you. Yeah, Matthew Daly has checked out of Hotel California right now. He's gone. He's take a safety car to bring him back in with the rest of the field. That's for sure. And we'll just waiting for the DRS zone to arrive, as we have a spin back here, and it is Boriyoshi, the Alpine. Not sure of the cause, but he's been demoted to behind his teammate in 11th. You know, the DRS zone forthcoming is going to be probably the first major bit of action we're going to see. I mean, we've already been seeing a bit of some crashing, but as for actual overtakes, they start now, effectively. Oh my god, Al-Hazmi. Dude's trying to do some Saudi drifting here at Shanghai. Andrej Knizzle turns on the jets. DRS, ERS, slipstream. A different braking zone, nearly clobbering the back of that Merc. Al-Hazmi gets ahead of Dylan Thomas using DRS, but surprisingly AJ Knizzle couldn't manage. I guess it does just demonstrate that Juergensmeyer is probably running some lower downforce in this race. Bad cough there. Pardon that. Pardon the noise of my thumbs rubbing up against the earbud cord that I have to push down on to mute it. AJ is much more daring under the brakes, but he's not able to really use that for anything, because the second he tries, he's gonna find a Mercedes in his way. Who knows, maybe AJ doesn't even want to pass him. Maybe he's just trying to exist in Juergensmeyer's rear view and prevent him from 100% focus. And keep him from buckling down and putting in the laps that would have let him catch AJ's teammate in the lead some 4 seconds ahead. Another zone of DRS. AJ has caught very swiftly now and is going to get right wheel to wheel at the braking point. Juergensmeyer with a huge lockup will net AJ Knizzle P2. We got a bit of Alpine combat, and the battle has left Luke Allen a little bit out of place. Boriyoshi with a unique exit from the final turn. Not going to have a chance at taking a spot away from Setchel just yet. And Fidel will take P11 from Luke Allen with no resistance, probably because it's a flippin' Red Bull. He's getting right on the diffuser of Boriyoshi. I wouldn't be surprised if some hitbox madness went on and they made contact. But from what I can tell, nothing. Boriyoshi has to make an aggressive lane change as Matthew Stott has retired from the pit lane. Yoshi and Setchel making huge contact. Setchel almost putting the Alpine in the grass to hang on to 9th place. But still, Yoshi will force his way by and into the position. And now Fidel Fabian is going to get round 2 at the Williams that put him further back a moment ago. DRS and Red Bull engine should make it relatively easy heading down the next straightaway. He's not even going to wait for the trigger. He's going to get alongside halfway through the corner. There's the beep. Setchel is also once again nearly putting Fidel in the grass, and he's got some really low wings on that Williams, so it's not done yet. Additional contact is made. Fidel has to shoot the outside, and he will mercifully succeed at taking the outside of the last turn. That's by no means easy to do. Especially not on a person who was driving with the elbows so far out. I'm surprised I can't see his driver models start stretching him out the cockpit. I mean, that was some real Barrichello Hungaroring defense right there to try and keep a car on the other end of the vehicle performance comparison out of the points-paying positions. And honestly, Fidel Fabian's recovery is just about the only thing worth really putting the camera on at the moment. Cars closer to the front, really not that close together, except for Scarborough's right behind his Mercedes teammate. And I can't imagine they're going to be putting on a huge battle anytime soon, because they are teammates, and they're not Nico Rosberg. I almost said Rico Nosberg. What? Who is that? What we do have is Mikey De Jong, who has botched the snail curve. I swear this corner is a curse. It's overtaken by at least one car, actually no, I think it was overtaken by both his teammate and by the Haas. And has to dump all of his ERS to try and stave off the AlphaTauri. Aggressive brakes from the McLaren. They make touch, yep. They make big contact on exit, but it didn't mean much in the background. Fidel got ahead of Yoshi. Crossover from De Jong on the AlphaTauri to try and minimize the damage of his half spin. Oh, Dylan Thomas got some major understeer. Mikey didn't really do anything wrong there. He had a lane, and Dylan Thomas just lacked the necessary turning to hold it. Jurgensmeyer keeping dead even with his adversary in the Ferrari. Jake pretty much keeping like the minimum distance away that doesn't impede his teammate, but also piggybacks off of his DRS assistance. He also has literally no ERS. And Fidel Fabian has his next target in his sights. Ugh. And that target is the McLaren of... I almost said Matthew. No, Mikey De Jong, not Matthew De Jong. Matthew's out of the race. I saw the yellow from the Roche, I don't actually know how that's pronounced, the sponsor on Fidel's wing mirror. I thought there was a yellow sector 1 through here. No, there's just a wing mirror. As Fidel Fabian is now right on the back of that McLaren. Mikey's on the hard tires, so that's also probably contributing to the pace difference, and Mikey De Jong actually just lets the Red Bull go ahead. Mikey De Jong has the wherewithal to realize this isn't exactly my fight. I'm battling for P5. And the Red Bull is going to take that from me no matter what. May as well grab some DRS and get a tiny bit closer to the Haas car ahead. Some like 5 seconds up the road. Luke Allen has to do a slalom course, but he outdrags Setchel into the final hairpin. Julius Dooku is also retired in the pit lane. That's... Ugh. I want chaos! seems De Jong's plan of having Fidel just basically taxi him to the back of Jamie Knock has worked pretty well. Fidel is going to get some DRS off the Haas. I would save my battery for the next straight though. He's not going to get it done here. Not with 8%. Down the inside, this time he doesn't get judo chopped, and Fidel Fabian should emerge in P6, and yes, he just about will. What's an ARC broadcast without a bit of background noise, alright? Seems like every week. Anywho. Jamie Knock is doing a bit of exploring outside the track limits. That's all De Jong needs to see, I'm pretty sure. And a good run through this turn onto the back straightaway. And that should be P7 back to the McLaren's possession. I think it's just about where he might have been before his half spin earlier. But having said that, it seems that Jamie Knock is running some incredulously low wings and is able to stave off the McLaren for at least that straightaway. The first pit stop of the race has taken place. Boryoshi is in to fit some hard compound tires. He's also serving a penalty or something. I must not have been paying much attention. I don't remember him having one. Even though it would clearly say on the side of their username if they have one or not, and I apparently just need to open my eyes. It's starting to feel like an actual Formula 1 Grand Prix. We have like the almost Noah's Arkian thing going on in the top four. Fidel Fabian's working on getting his way back up there, with his only obstacle remaining being Al-Hazmi in the McLaren. After his unfortunate race start. We have the occasional squabbling in the midfield, and we have somebody trying to enact crazy strategy that might do something, but we don't know for sure. We'll have to just find out. But like the lead six are all within like not much distance of you. Like they are pretty far apart. Jake Scarborough is going to be the first one to break the mold. He boxes to get off of these mediums. And we'll see if the undercut can net him a position over his teammate, because I don't think he's close enough to undercut either Ferrari. All of the racing room in the world is being given, as these two apparently are trying to practice social distancing heading through turn 1. Mickey De Jong is going to get the far superior corner exit, and he's going to finally claim P6. Dylan Thomas is looking for a move on the Williams of Setchel. I do believe this is essentially a battle of engine versus aero. If I'm not mistaken, the AlphaTauri has one of the weakest engines, but for a midfield car, its aerodynamics aren't half bad. Meanwhile, the Williams might as well just be a dragster with the front wing on it. DRS somehow is given to the Haas, despite I barely even being able to see Mikey De Jong on the screen. It's ultimately gonna just kind of be a moot point, as AJ Knickel is the next to change his tires. And yeah, I always remember the McLarens, they can go for a while yet. They'll be going another 5-6 laps minimum, and that's assuming that they don't want to try and put on the soft tires out of their pit stop. Fidel Fabian also has pit. He's going to try an undercut of his own to try and make up time, plus it would be kind of pointless to run more laps on the softer tires than on the harder ones, because then you're defeating the purpose of the harder tires. Out of the pit lane, Scarborough has caught up to Setchel, who obviously has not pit yet. Jake, just get a good run out of Snell Curve. Survive the dragster that is in front of you, which, you know, through no fault of the driver's own, doesn't really get to take corners very well because they're in a Williams. Or just do it here, I guess. There's about a Mercedes with left, but oh, the crossover attack of the Millennium from Jake Scarborough. How did he even find that space? Let alone fit his race car there. Good lord. And that's left Setchel with no DRS to speak of, because that pass was made before the trigger. And gave it to Dylan Thomas, obviously, because he was behind both of them. Duh, that's kind of how this works. Matthew Daly has boxed. He emerges just behind a Haas, who's on very worn tires. Second oldest tires in the field. So he's going to lose a bit of time here on this pit cycle due to having to negotiate that. But he's got a bit of time to kill. He's 5.5 seconds ahead of net P2 at the moment. And that's only his teammate. So I believe my mom may now be watching her TV at a volume so high my mic is picking it up from downstairs. So if you hear some random Netflix show, it's not my fault. I can't tell her not to live her life. For, you know, an hour-and-a-half broadcast of a virtual racing video game. That's just obscene. Should be thankful that she's not coming down here blaring Carly Rae Jepsen or something as she arrives to make some dinner. The same way that many passes have been made, most of the top cars haven't even had to wait to get out of the snail curve. They're able to generate a run before they even get out of it and make an overtake. As Jonathan Jurgensmeyer pits, and as does Jamie Knox, so that knocks out, pun not intended, the last of the medium tires, so now everybody in the field at the moment is on hards. Just remains to be seen, what do the McLarens do with their tires? What kind of advantages have they obtained by equipping them and going long? Have they gotten any help at all from it? It doesn't majorly help the ones on hards, but being stuck behind somebody who hasn't pit off their hards yet when you've just pitted recently really hurts the people near the front, as I think Fidel Fabian's about to learn. He just ran the fastest lap of the Grand Prix moments ago, and now he's stuck behind Dylan Thomas, who's trying to find his own way ahead of the Williams of Setchel. He's not had the most amazing luck with that thus far, but now it's only going to get harder because he's got a Red Bull breathing down his neck. Fidel Fabian makes a big send. Dylan Thomas anticipates this and makes way for the Red Bull car. Meanwhile, there is conflict at the front of the field. Mickey de Jong reads the room and realizes that this isn't his problem, and makes way for the leading Ferrari. Luke Allen does the same thing against the Mercedes of Scarborough, but Setchel breaks for no one, not even the pole sitter. Vidal's got to find his way around on his own. As a matter of fact, Setchel is pressing the ERS button to stay ahead of the Red Bull. And he will do so. And... oh my word. There are some words that I wish to say. And there is the safety car, which has just given the McLarens a birthday present that they will never forget. Yeah, obviously the pit stops, assuming that everyone else doesn't box for medium tires. I'm still trying to process the asinine that I just witnessed. Yeah, Matthew Daly will reclaim the lead after pit stop, assuming that not everybody boxes for new tires, which softs can't get to the end from here, I can almost assure you that. Not here. That middle sector just eats tires. You don't really get away with that here. So obviously McLaren's will pit, as will Setchel because he got damage, and then Dylan Thomas. Nobody else follows, or at least Matthew Daly doesn't. Neither Ferrari pits. Oh yeah, Luke Allen. I didn't even notice that he was on hard still. Was that dirt? Huh? What is this, 2007? There's not dirt there anymore, guys. Codemasters moment. Oh, what? Oh no, because he didn't pit. Okay, that makes sense. Alright, so that just makes life even easier for the Ferraris. Jake Scarborough is going to be relevant because he's going to get a speeding penalty for that. But they will have to hold off the McLaren onslaught, especially from Al-Hazmi, as he doesn't have to get through anybody else to get to the Ferraris. I mean, technically he has to get through Jake Scarborough, but he has a penalty anyway. Mikey still has to pass Jamie Knock to do that. Jurgensmeyer also pit onto his own set of mediums. Interesting, he'd already made a pit stop. So he was giving up track position, hoping that the better tires will pay him dividends towards the end of the race. That's at best a third place strategy. I need a drink. Not alcoholic. Just Mountain Dew. I could drink alcohol. 21. I just don't. I kind of prefer my judgment being intact, you know? As based on the positioning of the two that haven't caught yet, we will go at the end of this lap, because I'm thinking Boryoshi can catch 20 seconds under safety car in the given time. Certainly everybody else will be there. I mean, not for nothing, I am too. I mean, this guy's a reserve in the slowest car on the grid. He's blocking Fidel like he's trying to win the Chinese Grand Prix in real life. I'm shocked I didn't slip a curse word there. Because that was just, frankly, just not great driving. You know, in my blunt opinion. I mean, that is kind of what a commentator's supposed to do, is give opinions on the racing, and oh boy, do I have one there. I don't think that flips the race on its head. One's in P2, one's in P10. I kind of saw something like that coming, the way that Satchel was defending his position. You're allowed to, there's no doubt about it. You're just not supposed to do it like that. That's sort of a gentleman's agreement when you're in a Williams. Defend Dylan Thomas like that or something in an AlphaTauri, that's one thing. As we are approaching the restart here at this Chinese Grand Prix, we'll be looking at 10 more laps of racing to go. And the big story here at the end game of this Grand Prix is going to be, can Ferrari and Jake Scarborough stave off the McLaren invasion? Or will they be invading each other as AJ Knickel sends it down the outside of his teammate to try and grab the lead, but he will not succeed. Bars. Someone give me a record deal for this commentating shit. Oops. Language. There it is. It's much less dramatic, but I don't know if we can censor that later. We don't edit these, so... Okay, so I'm watching... For a second it looked like it was centered on the second place... or the first place car. But it was centered on this... I don't even know what that was. That looked weird. Anyway. Yeah, so pretty much everything shuffled out to be exactly the same on the restart, despite AJ's best efforts. Except for Jamie Knock, who has lost control in the cursed snail turn. And he gets demoted to the very back of the grid following that mistake. We're playing a bit of Frogger here as Luke Allen tries to keep the AlphaTauri at bay. It is an absolute melee back there, as Satchel inserted himself into the battle for P8. And Boryoshi, I think, understeered a tiny bit, to say the least. This is nearly another disaster for a top car, as Jurgensmeyer nearly got claimed by that, but instead he will claim 7th from Luke Allen. And his next target will be Dylan Thomas, who he's gotten to the inside lane on. The outside here, but that enables a better exit if you can hack it. Jurgensmeyer could not hack it, but he uses the battery and his Mercedes engine. Dylan Thomas just concedes. Oh, there's some internet. There's some lag. He did the AlphaTauri, which is funny because the AlphaTauri is the example I named of the person who should be doing that too, but he shouldn't be taking them out of the GP over 9th position. Oh! Mind your braking zone. Oh my word. You'd best run for the hills, Jurgensmeyer. But with that engine you've got, I don't think you'll have too many problems doing so. Speaking of running, here comes El Hazmi. He's got a wing in it. and he's winging it down the inside of Jake Scarborough. Scarborough gets a superior exit. They're both slamming the battery, but Scarborough has to pit. Does he have damage? I can't tell. The camera panned out. Yes, I think he's missing an end plate there. Not sure if Al-Hazmi is to blame for that. I couldn't exactly tell. The shadows were very, very big there. And so now it's the better car versus the better tires. And then Jurgensmeyer. But I don't really think the McLarens are going to be the first people to be making headlines here. I think the next battle we see is going to be between teammates. This isn't real life, so I don't expect Ferrari to be doing any sort of team orders forthcoming. And AJ Nickel is probably going to be overtaking his teammate, or going to die trying, in the not-so-distant future. As Boryoshi outdrags the Williams into P8 for the Alpine. The Alpines are 7-8. That's some understeer right there. Boryoshi grabs the fastest lap for the moment. Jake Scarborough's back on a hard tire. Huh? Oh, he got a penalty, right. Yeah, Scarborough got penalized. I totally forgot about that. I was still mostly focused on the whole Red Bull DNF thing. Speaking of DNF, not exactly, but Jamie Knock has spun it. And this will give Jake Scarborough a points position back at the very least. But obviously he shouldn't be anywhere near there. He should be top 5. Oh, he's top 7. Oh, AJ's doing a bit of drifting there to try and keep that Ferrari from getting away. He'll survive this time, but who knows what'll happen next. Luke allows his teammate through. I think, obviously seeing that Yoshi's got more pace in this Alpine than Luke in the qualifying session, I would say made that relatively obvious, all things considered. Man, just rev the engine. We got the VTEC kicking in. My God. Throttle control is a mere suggestion in the eyes of Abdurrahman Al-Hazmi here. AJ is continuing to struggle with a car that doesn't like that turn, and that's only extended an invitation to the McLaren. Allen gets a penalty. VTEC De Jong is also in the picture, so... But I think the soft... What are those? The medium tires will start to wear out in the not-so-distant future. They're fine now, but give it a lap or two and I think they'll start to lose their pace advantage over the hards. Right now I would say the mediums are slightly faster, but it's not by a huge amount. And it's not by enough of an amount to offset the pace advantage that the Ferraris have by being Ferraris, and not being McLarens. But we have the 4 lead cars under a blanket, Ferrari versus McLaren. We've apparently gone back to the 90s here. Can Al-Hazmi get the upper hand through Snail Curve on this occasion? Change the complexion of the race if AJ doesn't nail it, which I think he just about has, so no major conniptions here. Yoshi with DRS assistance bags P6. The Alpine on a recovery drive after making a pit stop, I believe, under the last safety car. And also being bogged down in traffic for much of this race. Oh, now things are getting toasty. We got AJ who's caught Matthew, and we've got Al-Hazmi who's caught AJ. Michael De Jong isn't exactly far away either, so we're gonna have this four-car train to determine the winner of the Grand Prix. AJ has a penalty, but that doesn't mean anything in this situation. Even if he can't win, he's gonna make sure McLaren can't either. I can only assume he's gonna play rear gunner for his teammate. Well, that's a battle I didn't expect to see. The final points position. Scarborough's trying to keep that Haas at bay. He must have made a mistake to even allow the Haas back into this area. But Jamie Knock might have just grabbed the spot from him there with that move. Bit of battery, a bit of Mercedes engine power. They're brawling for 10th like it's for first. This is the only battle we've seen for the S's all race, I'm pretty sure. And Jamie Knock is going to be the winner of the aforementioned battle, but he gets a terrible exit. Scarborough can take advantage of that. Back around the outside of the Haas. Very close quarters combat as we head into the cursed Snail Curve. DRS, though, is going to be active, and that obviously benefits the Mercedes, which already has better top speed anyway. But Jamie Knock has some pretty low downforce on that Haas, so it's not going to be easy. Scarborough on the outside enables a better exit. And a better exit he has. Scarborough defends P10 successfully after squabbling for it for an entire lap of the circuit. Jamie isn't done. He has no battery left, but he's got DRS and he's got the inside lane. These two are saving the commentator for 1 point back here. This is somehow more entertaining than the battle for the lead, probably because it's not yet a battle. Hopefully that changes in the near future. They're going to continue to go at the hairpin again. Crossover attack! But it's not enough. The Haas manages to get a decent exit and stave off the Mercedes for now. Setchel loops it out of Snail Curve, and that's going to demote him right back to last, I'm fairly certain. Yep, right back to last place and with no DRS to even try and stay with them. We have just 2 laps in the Grand Prix. Still waiting to see that decisive action from McLaren. Divisive. Oh, we had that earlier. That's something completely different. The decisive action from McLaren. As I think by this point, if AJ wanted to get around his teammate, he probably would have done so by now. So he is obviously going to be content with just sitting there and playing defenseman. This time, it's Scarborough who sneaks his car up the inside. Battery is low. Doesn't even matter, there's only 2 laps left of racing. Jake is throwing the kitchen sink at this, and he's throwing his entire car down the inside too. And that is still not enough. At this point, this just probably feels like an exercise in futility. Here's the decisive move. The McLaren takes the outside at the hairpin. AJ brakes aggressively, obviously, gets the inside lane. Big exit from Al-Hazmi and a bit of battery. That'll put him P2. He's finally made one of the required 2 moves and gets a bit of extra corner, which allows AJ to come right back at him. And I think that this defensive move, even if it's not, doesn't look like much right now, this is just one Matthew Daly the race. These 2 are battling at the hairpin, and then we have this battle, which AJ is victorious in, out of turn 2. Jamie Knock manages to survive, but he gets oofed by track limits, and Jake Scarborough finally gets back to his post. Even though now they're actually battling for 2 points. There are no losers except for the people who didn't finish, and Zechel, who might get the fastest lap on those soft tires, but that's not going to matter because he's not in the top 10. Or they. Well, we're probably about used to seeing Ferraris winning here in ARC, but it's not usually this one. Matthew Daly is going to lead almost every non-pit cycle lap on his way to the victory here at the Chinese Grand Prix. Provisionally, AJ gets a penalty that demotes him to 4th, giving the 2 McLarens 2nd and 3rd. Jurgensmeyer with a quiet P5, which is about where it should be in a Mercedes. Boryoshi nabs P6 in the Alpine. Jake Scarborough with kind of a day to forget. Apparently this is Jake Scarborough now. That looks like an Alpine to me, Codemasters. But he does beat Jamie Knock over the line. That is the first ARC victory. That is the first ARC victory for Matthew Daly. And it comes with the Chinese Grand Prix. AJ Baggs, driver of the day. Oh, a bit of weight down there, looks like. There's a driver. There's Avatar. So, I cannot safely say this, it's a big day to be a Ferrari fan, as they get, well, provisionally 1-4, could very easily be 1-2, if any of those penalties didn't make any sense, which they usually don't on this game. There's usually at least one where they give you a penalty despite your best efforts to give the time back. Like, the track limits aren't really necessarily like they act more like an electric fence for dogs with shock collars. Under no circumstances are you to pass this line. Even if you're not on the throttle or anything else, nope, sorry, you get a penalty. And so that is the Chinese Realistic Grand Prix. Not sure what next week is, I never seem to know, and I'm sure everyone's probably used to me not knowing. But the thing is, technically, Monday, at least next thing I'll be streaming, is Monday's GT3 race. Comes to on Project Cars 2, but until then, off.